Happy New Year and welcome back. This is Adrienne Lawrence and welcome into the conversation. This time I bring you a change maker who happens to be the lead California organizer for Starbucks Workers United. That's Tyler Keeling. Thank you so much for joining us, Tyler.
Of course, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I'm excited to have you here, given all of the good work you're doing with moving forward and advancing rights of workers at Starbucks. Now, I know there are ongoing strikes, and also 2022 was a year really marked by change with the organization coming forward. When you look back on 2022, what do you think was the most significant advancement that you all made?
I feel like there's so many, but if I had to choose just kind of like a single one, I would probably just say like the fact that we took this movement that started in Buffalo, New York, and kind of like took it national. And all of these leaders from all these stores across the country, in a year, over 270 of them, came together to build a national structure that was extremely worker-led. And I can't even wrap my mind around it most days. So I think I would probably say that is the single most impressive and like exciting thing that we've done so far.
Well, it's definitely something to be excited about and also proud of. It's unfortunate that we have so many major corporations out there who are not providing for basic protections for workers out there. And so when it comes to the movement for Starbucks, what are some of the things that you all are fighting for?
I mean, a big part of it really is kind of just like respect and dignity in the workplace and like having better, safer conditions at work. As it stands, during the pandemic, we had a lot of our workplace protections and safety protections rolled back, just by pushback from workers, including myself in my store. And we want to be able to have a say in the workplace so we can have better working conditions and safer working conditions and make sure that we're, ultimately taken care of. This is a company that really, really asks its workers to be, like longtime employees. They don't want just like, the college job reputation that they sometimes get. They want people to be at this company for their life. And they aren't willing to provide any sort of, ability for that to happen while you work there, unless, you climb your way up the chain of management, right? So we want to create a sustainable workplace.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that much to ask for, especially given the profits that Starbucks generates and also the noteworthy service that Starbucks baristas are known to provide. And it seems that Starbucks has not necessarily been as agreeable in terms of the unionization. As I understand it, they have refused to negotiate with at least 21 recently unionized stores in Washington state, and also with Oregon and the US Labor Protections. Our prosecutors have alleged that they are doing this illegally in a complaint.
Yeah, I mean, I'm part of what's called the National Bargaining Committee, which is a worker-led collective, like a work committee rather, of workers that are kind of like coming together to figure out what our contract's gonna look like, figure out what our proposals we're taking to the table are looking like. And so I'm really cued into all of the bargaining stuff happening. And I actually was at 5 different bargaining sessions, and each one of them played out the exact same, where Starbucks's labor representatives and lawyers got up from the table after about 5 minutes and just walked out of the room. I experienced this day over day, and this was here in Southern California. And I know the same thing happened at every single bargaining table across the country since we started bargaining on October 24th.
And why do you think that they are unwilling to negotiate?
Oh, I can absolutely tell you why. Our CEO in his autobiography wrote that he believed that if we believed in him as our leader, that we wouldn't want a union. So this is a personal vendetta for him. And he came back to the company in April when the union movement went full swing to union bust. And there was a New York Times article recently published where someone interviewed like personal friends and like his inner circle, and they all corroborated that, saying that this was like a personal thing for him. So, the people who walked away from our table are under direct direction of our CEO, who is doing everything he can. Our CEO is quite literally willing to tank the reputation of this company in order to fight this union. What he doesn't understand is that we're not stopping.
Oh, wow. It seems kind of patriarchal / megalomaniacal. It's just very unproductive, as I would say. in terms of advancing the workforce and recognizing that it's your workforce that sustains you. And so giving them the dignities that they're requesting would seem to be kind of just something that's expected if you want to continue to be profitable as an organization. But then again, that is just me. But now that we have embarked on 2023, I know that just not even a month ago, that there was a 3-day strike. How did that go?
Yeah. Oh, it went amazing. We wanted to double down on our fight, which leads to the name, the Double Down Strike. We did a 3-day strike with over 100 stores across the country going on strike for at least one day of those 3 days, but the majority of them going on strike for all 3 days. My store went on a 3-day strike, and I don't think it could have happened at a more perfect time because, workers are, holiday season, workers are worn out and exasperated. And that strike was so reinvigorating to keep fighting to make the workplace better. And, across the country, we had over 1,000 workers on strike. It's our second major nationally coordinated strike. And it just shows that we're in it for the long haul, and it shows the solidarity across the country. And it shows that we're not just these isolated, frustrated stores that are kind of just on our own. We're, a collective of workers fighting to make a difference. And I think this really proved that.
That's fantastic. I like to hear that you all were operating as a unified front to let them know that you are a workforce that sustains their corporate profits, and thus these dignities that you ask for aren't necessarily a big ask, especially if it means that maybe the CEO and the C-suite takes just a little bit less in terms of their annual bonuses. But now that we're into 2023, what do you expect from the momentum? Will it continue to be galvanized and to move forward? Or is there any fear out there that people will be reluctant to push forward with the union efforts?
During the summer, we did see a small, a downtick of stores filing because of how much union busting this company had done. Illegally withholding benefits, firing union leaders, all that stuff that's been in the news for the last year. But as the summer ended and we headed into the holiday season and all the college students were back at work and all that stuff like that, it wasn't like transitionary jobs, we saw an uptick again in stores filing. And we saw an uptick in activity in stores because workers were seeing that these promises Starbucks were making weren't reliable. They weren't permanent. They were face value. And we've seen that just continue on in the last couple of months, and heading into 2023, I fully see us just continuously growing and more workers, taking a leadership role in their stores to organize and unionize and fight for a contract. I don't see it going anywhere. And then on another side of things, our CEO, our current CEO, Howard Schultz, is leaving in April. And so we're getting a new CEO taking over in his position. And that's going to be such an interesting transition because, like we said, the megalomaniac, right? He'll be out of that position. So we've got a big fight ahead of us, but it's a fight that we're all so ready for.
Yes, and in terms of your new CEO, do you know anything about how that individual is responsive to unions?
We have an idea. It seems like, how would you say, the worst has happened in a lot of ways. And we're looking forward to working with this new CEO in order to negotiate our contract. We're ready for it, and we're ready for him to come to the table with us.
All right, then. Well, I guess that's the most you can really ask for. But in the event that there is just less cooperation than you'd want, are there any other potential levers that you all are willing to pull in order to ensure that your voices are heard?
I think we kind of proved the direction we're willing to go with the Double Down Strike, escalating from a 1-day national strike to a 3-day national strike. And I think that shows, like I said, the direction we're willing to go in order to fight for that contract. And we will continue to fight until we have it, whatever we have to do.
Fantastic. That is good to know that you all are, 10 toes down and you're ready to dive in to ensure that you get the dignity and the rights that you want for your workers and for your team. And so I'm wondering, on a personal note, in terms of fighting this fight, how has that been? I know in workplaces where I've seen people be mistreated, and despite failing to recognize that unified, you had stronger efforts, people were unwilling to come together and to speak out. I think in part because many were afraid, and there are people who suffer retaliation and whatnot. So what has your journey been like?
It hasn't been as harrowing as some stories that I've heard. I think that there isn't a single worker in this company who isn't frustrated with the state of things and doesn't want it to be better. And I think need to know how to talk to people. And I have a very good rapport with my coworkers, and so we were able to organize really quickly. And even in times where it felt kind of hopeless, we've always come back together and found that hope and wanted to continue that fight. And that spark is always there, even if sometimes it's hard to find. And we're seeing that in every store across this country. I've seen stores that were divided in their vote swing back around, where every worker is fighting for the contract now. And I don't see, I don't see so much opposition on the other side of things. I see a lot of love and care and camaraderie in this. And I feel it in my own store too, with my own coworkers and with all the people across the country that I've gotten to meet in this movement.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Tyler. And if people want to support your efforts, where should they go?
Please hit up our social medias at SB Workers United. We have, GoFundMe links on there to our strike funds, to our solidarity funds to support fired workers. That is really a great way to support this. And the social medias are the best way to keep up with all of our news and updates.
Great. Thank you so much. That's Tyler Keeling, lead California organizer for Starbucks Workers United.